Aloha and welcome to Freedom Spirit Podcast with the Salty Soul. I am your host, Heather Young, here to share radically real and raw experiences as we bridge the gap between spirituality and the everyday aspects of entrepreneurship, relationships, and independent parenthood. Together, we'll explore the transformative power of personal and spiritual growth, all in service of uplifting humanity and raising the collective vibration of our planet. My mission is to inspire you to embrace your journey and create your own version of heaven on earth, because your evolution matters and the world needs your light. So let's dive in. We're going to explore some really intimate territory, and let's see what happens when you lead with bravery and live a life dancing not always elegantly on the waves of surrender. I will mention I had this entire episode scripted word for word before recording this, and at the last minute last night, I deleted it all. And I realized that what I really wanted to talk about was something big, real, and raw that I've personally been experiencing lately. Off the cuff, off the script, and in the present moment. I don't know about you, but I love to see what magic comes through when you just stay present and let go of how you think it should be in life, on your podcast, in your business, in your relationships, and just flow with it and see what magic happens. Stop constricting the flow of what wants to come through you, right? So I'm excited about my messy, magical expression in this podcast. So the topic I want to touch on today is imposter syndrome. I know I'm not the only one out there that has felt that and still continue to feel that occasionally. On social media, I'm so used to watching people share their wins in life, business, sharing my wins in a way that hopefully inspires people to take action in their own dreams. But after years of supporting myself and my son, as an independent mother on a single income, this last month I found myself forgetting who I was, confused in a relationship with another person that was not serving me. Rather, it was putting me in a place that I felt like I was just putting up with it. And I had set some really strong boundaries, but yet I felt myself just still going along. And I realized once again, it was all me once again. There was no pointing the finger. There was no looking externally for the fixes and the cures and the things that I had truly deeply wanted for myself in my life, in my relationships. It was me. So I find myself once again back in my safe space at home, sitting cross-legged on this big throw pillow on the middle of my living room floor, where I am truly reconstructing and recoding not only my habits, but my beliefs, the way in which I relate with others, which is essentially how I relate with myself and how I set boundaries for myself and others, and my daily rituals that I have completely fallen out of. And I have been behind all of the problems that I so desperately wanted to point the finger in another direction. Even if someone else was being disrespectful or someone in my business made a mistake, or I can clearly see all the issues have stemmed from either lack of boundaries, lack of self-love, communication, or not taking aligned action. And honestly, it's a mixture of all of them. And I was devastated and terrified to admit this person I had created online, who was a successful business owner and mentor, making multiple 5 figures some days, and someone who figured out passive income online in a really amazing way that felt really good and inspired a lot of people, was 3 weeks late on her rent. As the imposter syndrome started to stare me in the face, I started to hold my breath and I felt the fear come in. And I thought, who am I? How can I even show up? I've created this not mask, but this persona of who I thought I was or who I wanted to be, because in this human reality, there's so many ways to express who we are when we're just human beings. We're just being, and who we are, the highest essence of who we are. There is no label for that because it is so deep of who we are and what our souls are here to do on this planet. And so with my monkey mind, my human mind, I started thinking, how could I ever show up online? I was paralyzed with emotional turmoil and felt myself being held of what felt like I started to go back into that cocoon, waiting to stretch my wings out once again after I rewoken back into the knowing of my own power, which I have seen myself do over and over. Isn't it so funny how sometimes we will manifest this really cool thing or create this business or have all this success, and something happens, derails us. And it's almost like we go back into this amnesia and forget who we are and our power. I had to remind myself of how capable and worthy I was to do and be or have whatever I wanted, remembering that life wasn't happening to me, but actually happening for me. Always, 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 life is happening for us. And always reminding myself that life is full of duality. As it swings in one direction, it will always swing in an opposite direction as you stay in alignment and embodiment. And I knew that I was being primed and recalibrated to hold the frequency of lack and limitation in order to know the exact opposite, right? Because if you don't know sad, you can't know happy. If you don't know sickness, you can't know health. And so that overflowing of prosperity and wealth that I've been calling in and seeing at a very, very young age, I knew things about myself at such a young age. But as I grew older, I realized that doing the inner and outer work that was required for that reality and that vision that I had for myself was going to be many years in the work. And I'm not saying that it takes a long time to create wealth or create success or create happiness or health like it now in this very moment, because everything that we are creating is in this now moment, always, 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 now, now, now. And I had been doing the inner and outer work for many years to be in a place that I felt ready and worthy and excited to be, because we're never going to be ready and we're always worthy. And it's about just taking that messy action and doing that inner and outer work to reach those levels of joy or success or abundance, because everyone's success looks different. And I could feel myself wanting to do something about it and taking big risks, but also feeling those feelings of being stricken with fear and being in that analysis paralysis where you just overthink everything. And if you're not careful, that victim mode is a choice that some people become entrapped in. And I had the awareness of I am never the victim. And that was something that I can never fall into, because once you know something, once you know better, you do better, right? And so for me, it wasn't about being in the victim stance, but really just needing to come into acceptance with where I was and trusting the process. Like, I wasn't dying. I was judging. I was judging myself. And this being my first ever episode, I would really love to share a little bit about who I am and the many hats that I wear. As a little girl from a small Midwest town in the middle of nowhere, I loved to skateboard, longboard, snowboard when I got the chance. Literally anything that had to do with board sports, I was obsessed with. And I had a dream to learn to surf and compete at a professional level in Hawaii, to start a family of my own here, and to not only heal the generational patterns and traumas in my family, but also to find the gifts that my ancestors had left me. Those were some of my visions and goals before and even after coming to Hawaii. And I finally got my chance after moving to Hawaii for the second time, having a child, and started competing after only 4 years of learning to surf. And I had a 3-year-old by my side. And I quickly realized that, dancing on top of the ocean's waves was something that I loved to do more than anything in the world, in or out of competition. And as I started competing, at first I thought about how I wanted to become sponsored so I could be paid for what I love to do. But I decided I'd rather sponsor myself independently that allowed more freedom. So I did. In 2016, I moved from Utah to the island of Oahu for the very first time, where I didn't have any connections. I had never been to the island before. And I moved there alone with $700 in my pocket and adventure in my heart, with only a skateboard, a backpack, one suitcase, and a box full of bike parts so that I had transportation when I arrived. This is the place that I experienced my second spiritual awakening. Towards the end of my first year living in paradise, I met my son's father. Might I mention, it was the exact same day that I decided to skydive from an airplane over the Pacific Ocean for the very first time. And then in 2017, we moved to a house on the beach after learning that I was pregnant. I started to build my first online business that started to grow. And then I gave birth to my first son and only child, Ryzen. And that was one of the most incredible blessings and dreams come true. And then in 2018, we all moved to Kauai in hopes that me and my partner could save our relationship. I started to learn how to actually set healthy boundaries and became an independent mother when my son turned 1. And I started to sacrifice my surfing for my business and raising my child on my own, where the two of us started to travel for business and went on 18 flights in his first 2 years of life together, which was really amazing thing to be able to experience. And then in 2019, I started surfing regularly again after moving back to Oahu from Kauai, after my little side business started paying my high rent residually. And it was giving me the time freedom to heal and grow and take the time that I needed for myself as a independent, parent raising a child on my own. And so I eventually ended up leaving that business for a different opportunity that allowed me to make my first 5-figure month in my first 60 days, which was an absolute blessing. And then in 2020, I made some really bad investments in coaches after deciding I wanted to build an online program. And I ended up moving to a farm with my son, and we learned how to garden and decided to take a break from social media for almost a year and from my business. And we lived off grid for 11 months without Wi-Fi or a TV, which was really interesting. In 2021, I followed my dreams to start competing competitively after 4 years of surfing on and off. And I got a part-time job at a 9-to-5 serving job to socialize more and to help me decide how I wanted to pivot my career. And then in 2022, I tow surfed behind a jet ski for the very first time in some really big waves, which was really exciting for me. I ended up winning the state championship in Hawaii, and then I got second in nationals that year, all in the same year, which was really amazing. And then in 2023, I started to go really deep and get certified in energy healing practices, hypnotherapy, past life regressions, spiritual life coaching. And I decided to pick back up that business that I had taken a break from that allowed me to tap into passive income and generational wealth and picking it all back up right where I left off. And so there was a big shift there for me that year. Now, as I record this, it's December 2024, reminding you to follow your dreams and to learn to work smarter, not harder, because whatever is meant for you will come true for you, and you don't have to struggle and feel like you're out of alignment doing things that you don't feel like you want to be doing. And it's okay to take a break. And after you've taken that time to really focus on yourself and come back into stepping back into your dreams or whatever you need for yourself. Don't judge yourself on the timeline because time is fluid. You know, I surfed in my very first professional division contest this year, manifested $35,000 in a matter of 3 days in my online business, and let go of a 4-year cycle that persisted in a relationship that felt like I had finally embodied my own self-value and love through the process. And sometimes it's a bit of a process and we can't give up on our dreams, and it's okay. Like I said, take the breath, take the break, take the space that you need so that you can come back in alignment with your own self-value and realize that anything that you desire and that you want for yourself is all obtainable. There's a will, there's a way. And sometimes the timing of it can be a bit defeating, but just know that it's always on the way to you, because what you want and what you're searching for is wanting you and searching for you, right? I will admit my life orbits around the tides of the ocean, living here on the island of Oahu, being a parent to my son, and empowering myself and individuals to unshackle themselves from the matrix and the confines of conventional living and thinking, being, and sailing towards a life full of freedom and abundance. So in 2025, my mission is to revolutionize the well-being and wealth of many, catapulting leaders inside freedom-based communities into their own version of success without the old outdated hierarchy systems and structures that has been ingrained. I want to do that while embracing the ebbs and flows of life as a mother, as a surfer, as a human being, and connecting all of those dots with this opportunity that we have moving forward to really release what is no longer serving us. Liberation of expectations and showing up in a way that people expect me to. I've had to let go of the nice girl that I've held on for so many years. And I remember just being in this place of like, I hope I don't offend or trigger anyone. I hope everyone likes me. And you know what? All masks are coming off, and I'm here to share my story, give you permission, and to whatever it is that I inspire within you, and truly shamelessly share my stories along the way. My vulnerability, sharing this journey, I need to share my voice. My voice matters, your voice matters, and I'm here to give you permission in whatever way that looks like throughout this podcast, because there's not a whole lot that I'm going to hold back, and it might get a little juicy, so prepare yourself. So for those of you who haven't heard the news yet, I am about to publish my first book that will be out this month, which is in December 2024 when I'm recording this. It's a true story, a personal development journey of my spiritual awakening that happened the first time at the age of 7 and continued on into now I'm in my 30s. That is a soul guide to cultivating bravery and an elegant dance of surrender, essentially. I'm not going to release the title quite yet, so watch out for that on the next episode so you don't miss out on the first limited edition copies that are going to be hand-signed and shipped out by yours truly. So I'm very, very excited to be sharing that with all of you very soon. This is a line from my book, and it says, "I am no longer restricted by the small rodeo town I grew up in. 12 years of a religion, addiction, my unsupportive beliefs, old patterns, passed down stories, low vibrational states, or generational patterns. Yet I still struggle with my thoughts from time to time, like we humans do. We all of us are doing the best we can do to liberate ourselves from whatever is stopping, blocking, or holding us back. Or maybe we're just unaware of what is stopping, blocking, or holding us back. Truly, truly believe that every single human being is doing the best that they can with what they know and have. And I hold compassion for myself and every other person who's just where they are on their journey, because we're all different. We're all at different levels, and it doesn't make any of us better, worse, slower. We're exactly where we need to be. At the end of the day, the funny thing is that we created all of the issues and blockages in this reality that we see as a blockage. We knew that our soul needed certain things to grow. And so I believe we mapped all of this out because in reality, in this 3D reality that we live in, you are either making up the problems in the future with your mind, or you're so far in the past, you're in anxiety. And without those pressures of life, issues that are essentially opportunities to grow and expand our souls, because that is why we are here, to expand and grow as souls. And the last thing that I will mention before I wrap up this very first ever episode, which I'm so excited about. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for being here. I really didn't know what to expect. I really just let this flow and see where it took me. But I guess that matches the title, right? Freedom Spirit. Let's just be free in spirit and allow spirit to flow through us so that life can be much easier and happier and more simple without creating all of these blockages in our thoughts and our energy. We did not come here to limit ourselves from our soul's growth. And I truly feel like I don't give a damn about much if I'm not doing that in some capacity, whether it's being on this podcast and stepping into my fear of public speaking, which, I'm literally in a room speaking to myself, but I'm listening to my voice through these headphones. And that used to be terrifying for me. Whether it is the growth of continuing to work towards a goal, that soul growth of showing up every single day, stepping into who you truly are and figuring out who you are and why you're here. And the funny thing is you don't have to figure it out. We don't have to figure it out, because the more that we can just let go and have fun, be in our own joy and move towards what excites us, that is going to work wonders compared to overthinking and continuously being in your masculine energy, trying to figure it out, being in your mind space. Maybe we just need to shift a bit and remember that everything that we need to know is found in our heart, coming through us. And it comes through us if we just listen. Our job is to be brave, to take one step forward, one foot in front of the other. Even when imposter syndrome does come up, which it does for most, I would assume, because I don't think you're much different than me if you're listening to this. But we just take one step, even feeling that imposter syndrome and doing it anyways. Feeling the fear and doing it anyways. I don't know how many times I have done that in my life. And I always say that if I feel this bit of excitement and anxiety all at the same time, I'm absolutely on the right track. And now it's just time for you to take that aligned action in whatever it is that makes you feel like that would be that perfect heaven on earth. Take that aligned action and do your best to completely let go and surrender. I love you so very much, and I'm so excited for episode 2 coming to you soon. I love you, I love you, I love you, and I'll talk to you all soon. Aloha. If you want to follow the journey for more updates on upcoming podcasts, feel free to follow me on Insta at @thesaltysoul_.